This is the Yorketowne Heights wastewater treatment plant. Raw sewage enters the plant and solids are removed. The sewage then moves into the primary settling tank, where the BOD in this incoming sewage is close to 100. The settling tanks have a 3-hour detention time, meaning it will take 3 hours from when the water enters before most of the particles have settled out. At the Yorketowne Heights treatment plant, there are 2 primary settling tanks. The original tank was much larger than the newer tank, but they still do their jobs. This tank here is the larger of the 2 and the older one. We're now seeing the surface of the sewage in the primary settling tank. The middle of this tank is where the water will go after the 3 hours of detention time, and then it will be pumped to further things. Here is the skimmer that will take away the floatables from the settling tank. Once the primary settling is done, the water is pumped up to the trickling filter. This is the trickling filter, and the aluminum arms of the filter allow the water to flow along the surface. The surface of the Yorketowne Heights trickling filter is actually grates that are plastic, and they are about 8 feet deep and supply a lot of area for bacteria and other organisms to grow on. This type of treatment allows the particles in the water to be used as a food source for microorganisms, which will eventually leave the water a lot cleaner than some other processes. Here are the piles of the grid media that was used to make the trickling filter. And as you can see, you can see where there would be a lot of space for organisms to grow. They only put this filter in within the last year, so they have kept many of their materials just in case they need to be replaced. Again, there are more here along this building. This is where the removal of nitrogen happens. It is a rotating biological contact, and as you can see, there are microorganisms growing all over it. The contact is made of plastic and stainless steel, and this is actually a second one, and you can see it looks a lot cleaner than the first. And that's because this one had recently been cleaned and had just started up again. So there's going to be less organisms on it to start. Another section of the plant is the biological filter, and that's an area that will filter out rainwater. And this is used to keep the rainwater from going into the wastewater system. Here are the equalization tanks that can hold 2 million gallons of water. This is used for times when it rains a great deal, and even though the plant does not have a combined system where wastewater and rainwater combine, there's still some I&I or inflow and infiltration that happens. After the removal of nitrogen, the water is then pumped into the building and pumped through microfilters with a filter size of about 5 micrometers. This microfilter stage only just was put through. After the filtration through the microfilters, the water is then run through a UV light that will alter the DNA of any bacteria that is left in the water. This will help the microorganism or keep the microorganisms from reproducing in the environment. On this site, there is also an anaerobic digester. The digested media is composted on the property. This first pile is one method, and it's called the static pile. This is the pile that must have a temperature of over 114 degrees Fahrenheit to get the breakdown completely done. Every day, these piles are tested for their temperature, and it actually becomes compost that the town of Yorktown uses and gives to its citizens. The pile must, the second pile is the windswept pile, and it has to have a temperature of close to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. This for 15 straight days to break down everything. And to keep this going, there's actually air that is pumped into the middle of the pile. And during the summer, these piles are run through. I'd like to have a special thanks to Peggy Minnis, Ed Mahoney for allowing us to go to the wastewater treatment plant, and Roger because without him my computer problems would not have worked. So, thank you.